I'm sure that you appreciate by now that your XML file will be sent to another application to make sense out of it, right? Because as we mentioned many times earlier as well, the primary purpose of using XML is to store and exchange data. Therefore, it becomes imperative that the XML you create is correct, right? Or in other words, there are no errors in it. One way of ensuring that is to use standard XML validators. What we've done here is we're showing you a validator from W3C. What you can do is you can cut and paste any XML code and run validation on it and see what you get. Well, if the validator says everything is fine, great. But just to try it out, try and introduce some errors in your XML and run validation to see what kind of output the validator shows you. The other thing that by now you have already guessed is that most browsers are able to identify XML. So although you create a simple XML without putting in any kind of style attributes or style parameters, the browser is still able to display it in some meaningful fashion, right? For example, what we've done here is just hit preview, and as you can see that the tags are actually highlighted, so you can differentiate between the tags and the content within. Also see how the browser indents various tags and thereby implicitly shows you the kind of hierarchy your XML has. But is that all you can do? Well, not quite. You can style your XML using CSS, just like we do with HTML. However, remember that styling XML using CSS is not really recommended. The recommended way of styling an XML file is through XSLT, but we shall not be covering it as part of this module. So what we'll do is here just see how we can style this particular XML file by using an external CSS style sheet, right? So we just uncomment line 2, save the file and hit preview. Well, do you see? Now your XML takes on a completely different appearance from what the browser default was. And how does that happen? Well, you can just look at the external CSS files style sheet and see for yourself.